I always thought silence was peaceful. That was before it became the soundtrack of my marriage. The morning of our 25th wedding anniversary, I woke up before dawn, as I always did. The house was still, the kind of stillness that makes your thoughts echo too loudly. I stood in front of the kitchen window, watching the rain beat against the glass, each drop racing the other down to the sill. It reminded me of the first night Daniel and I met. The same kind of rain, the same kind of nervous flutter in my chest. I had spent weeks planning the day. A small dinner, just us. I had even baked the same chocolate cake I'd made on our wedding night, the one he said tasted like love itself. But the chair across from me stayed empty. Daniel had left early for a client meeting, leaving only a half-finished cup of coffee and a scent of expensive cologne that no longer belonged to me. I smiled to myself, the kind of brittle smile a woman learns to wear when her heart's already cracking. Hours passed. I lit the candles anyway. The food grew cold. Midnight came and went. That's when I saw the text. His phone had buzzed on the counter where he'd forgotten it. I shouldn't have looked. I told myself that. But curiosity is a cruel thing, especially for women who've spent their lives trusting too deeply. The message was from a contact saved as Yem. You left your watch at my place again, face blowing a kiss, hope your wife doesn't notice. My fingers went cold. The message glowed on the screen like a cruel whisper. I stared at it until my vision blurred. The clock ticked on. Our anniversary slipped into history, unloved and unremembered. I turned off the candles. The smoke curled upward like the ghosts of promises long broken. That night, I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I opened a small box in my drawer, one I hadn't touched in years. Inside was a folded piece of paper, a note Daniel had written me 25 years ago on our honeymoon. If I ever hurt you, you have my permission to destroy me. At the time, it was romantic. Now it was a prophecy. The next morning, I pretended nothing had changed. Daniel kissed my cheek before leaving for another meeting. His lips were warm. His eyes were lies. When the door closed, I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty space where he'd been. And then slowly, deliberately, I whispered to the quiet house, "All right, Daniel, let's play." That evening, I found myself in the passenger seat of his car, hands trembling just slightly. He'd gone to shower. He always took long ones, the kind that made you wonder who he was washing off. I opened the glove compartment, looking for nothing in particular, and yet hoping to find everything. Receipts, a lighter I didn't recognize, and then a small silver tube, personal lubricant. My heart stopped, not because of what it was, but because of what it confirmed. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe for a moment. Then I smiled, the kind of smile that could cut glass. That's when the idea came. Not instantly. Slowly, darkly, like a shadow taking form behind me. In the back of the drawer under the sink was a small bottle, industrial superglue, the kind Daniel used for his workshop projects. I picked it up, unscrewed the lid, and tilted it over the tube in my hand. A few drops. That was all it took. Revenge doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes, it just needs to be precise. I placed it back exactly where it was. Perfect. Untouched. Waiting. When he left the next morning, humming under his breath, I almost laughed. I watched from the window as he backed the car out of the driveway, completely unaware that he was driving straight into his own punishment. The day went on as usual. I baked, cleaned, smiled at the neighbors. All the while, my heart beat with a steady rhythm, not of guilt, but of justice. It wasn't until that evening that I heard the sirens. First distant, then near. They stopped right outside our house. I ran out, pretending to panic. 2 fire trucks, an ambulance, and my husband, screaming in agony, surrounded by men in uniforms, trying desperately to separate him from his mistake. The neighbors whispered. Someone filmed. I stood there, clutching my chest, tears streaming down my face. And not one of them was real. Later, at the hospital, the doctor told me he'd be fine, physically at least. Emotionally, well, that was another matter. He wouldn't meet my eyes when I walked in. He just whispered, hoarse and broken, "How could this happen?" I reached out and touched his hand gently. "It must have been an accident," I said softly, my voice full of the kind of sympathy only a wife can fake. But inside, I was smiling, because for the first time in years, Daniel felt what I had felt for months. Hospitals have their own kind of silence. Not peaceful, but heavy, suffocating. It clings to the walls, seeps into your clothes, and makes even breathing feel like trespassing. I sat beside Daniel's bed, the rhythmic beep of the monitor the only sign that he was still, technically, alive. His face was pale, his lips dry. His hands trembled every now and then, not from pain but from shame. He hadn't spoken much since it happened, and the little he did say came out in short, stuttering fragments. "Julia, I don't understand." I turned to him slowly, my expression unreadable. "Maybe you should stop trying to understand and start remembering." He looked at me then, really looked, and for a brief second, I saw something flicker behind his eyes. Fear. Not of what happened, but of me. And that was new. Beautifully, exquisitely new. When we got home 2 days later, the house felt different. Quieter. Almost like it was holding its breath, waiting for one of us to break. Daniel walked through the door hesitantly, like a stranger visiting the ruins of his own life. I followed, calm, composed, every step deliberate. He avoided my eyes, muttering something about work. I almost laughed. Work. The man could barely sit without wincing, and yet his first thought was how to hide it from his colleagues. Pride is a funny thing. Men would rather lose everything than admit they're broken. As he disappeared into his study, I glanced around the living room, the polished shelves, the framed photos, the memories we had built over decades. They looked like museum pieces now, relics from a life that had ended quietly one rainy night when I found that message. And just when I thought revenge had satisfied me, something inside whispered, "Not yet." That night, while Daniel slept heavily on his side, a cocktail of painkillers dulling both his body and his conscience, I picked up his phone again. It was time to dig deeper. There it was. The same contact. Yem. The last message still unread, a new one. "You scared me, baby. You just disappeared. Please tell me you're okay." I stared at the screen, my reflection shimmering faintly on the glass. So she didn't know what had happened. I felt a strange thrill. Somewhere out there was another woman, waiting, worrying, unaware that her secret lover was lying half-broken in the next room. Part of me wanted to message her right then. But revenge, I'd learned, is best served slowly, like aged wine. So instead, I clicked on her profile. Emily. A real name at last. Her photos were public. A woman in her 30s. Blonde. Beautiful. The kind of beauty that photographs easily. The kind that never had to try. She posted selfies from hotel rooms, coffee shops, beaches. Always smiling. Always glowing. And in one of those pictures, I noticed something. A familiar watch on the bedside table. Daniel's watch. The same one he had lost a month ago. My throat tightened. Not from pain, but from clarity. Every lie, every absence, every late meeting. It all fit perfectly now, like the final pieces of a cruel puzzle snapping together. The next morning, Daniel limped into the kitchen. I was already there, humming softly, frying eggs as if everything were normal. He stood there for a long moment, watching me. Then hesitantly, "Julia, I'm sorry." I didn't turn. Sorry for what? Silence. The kind that stretches and cracks under its own weight. He sat down slowly. For everything. For not being. The man you married." I looked over my shoulder and smiled faintly. "Oh, Daniel, you're exactly the man I married. You just finally showed me his reflection." His fork clattered against the plate. He looked lost, broken, smaller somehow. And yet, as I watched him, something unexpected happened inside me. Pity. A dangerous, treacherous pity. Because pity makes you weak. And I couldn't afford weakness. Not yet. Over the next few days, I played my role to perfection. The caring wife. The gentle nurse. The patient listener. Neighbors praised my strength. Friends called me inspiring. Daniel, grateful and guilty, began opening up. Little confessions slipping out like drops of poison. "I don't even know why I did it," he said one night, his voice breaking. "She was just different. She made me feel young again." Young again. How often had I heard that phrase? As if age were an enemy, and I had become the battlefield. I said nothing, just smiled, handed him his glass of water, and whispered, "Don't worry, darling. You'll never feel old again." He smiled weakly, unaware that every word I spoke was layered with meaning. The next day, I packed a small bag. I told him I needed to visit my sister for a few days. He nodded, relieved, probably grateful for the space. But I didn't go to my sister's. Instead, I drove 3 hours south to San Antonio. To her. Her cafe was exactly what I expected. Charming, modern, with flowers by the window and soft music floating through the air. I walked in, ordered a latte, and sat by the window. When she appeared, wiping her hands on a towel, I almost didn't recognize her at first. She looked ordinary, not the glamorous woman from her pictures. She smiled at me politely. "Hi there, I'll be right with you." Her voice was warm, familiar in a way that made my stomach twist. As she turned away, I said softly, "You left Daniel's watch on your nightstand." She froze. Slowly, she turned around. Her eyes widened, and in that instant she knew. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. The cafe noise faded to a distant hum. Finally, she whispered, "You're his wife." I smiled, calm, composed, deadly. "Yes. And you're the mistake he'll never make again." For a moment, we just stared at each other. Two women bound by the same man, yet separated by decades of lies. Emily's eyes darted toward the door, as if she could still escape this confrontation. But I smiled softly, and that seemed to pin her in place. "Please," she said finally, her voice trembling. "I didn't know he was married. He told me you two were separated." Of course he did. That's what men like Daniel say. They build entire castles out of half-truths and let innocent women live inside them until the walls start to crack. I leaned forward, my voice calm, almost kind. "I'm not here to fight you, Emily. I just wanted to see what kind of woman makes a man forget 25 years of marriage." She flinched. Her lips parted as if to defend herself, but no words came out. I continued, slowly stirring my coffee. "You see, I used to think affairs were about passion, about something burning and irresistible. But they're not. They're about cowardice. And need. He needed to feel young again, didn't he?" Her eyes glistened. "Maybe," she whispered. "He said you didn't love him anymore." I laughed softly, a brittle, humorless sound. "Oh, I loved him, Emily. I loved him enough to let him destroy me. But don't worry," I said, setting the cup down. "I'm better now. Much better." She swallowed hard, her face pale. "I'm sorry," she said. "If I'd known." I raised my hand. "Don't apologize. You just helped me see who he really is." I stood, pulling a small envelope from my purse, and placed it gently on her table. Inside were photographs, screenshots, copies of his messages. She stared at it, confused. "What's this?" "Proof," I said, "of what happens when lies run out of breath." And then I walked away, leaving her sitting there, shaking, as the rain began to fall against the cafe windows. The drive back home felt endless. The highway lights stretched like glowing veins through the darkness, and for the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not happiness, just clarity. But peace, as I was about to learn, is never permanent. Because that night, when I returned home, Daniel wasn't there. His car was gone. His phone lay on the counter, still unlocked, with a message glowing on the screen. From Emily. "We need to talk. She came to see me. She knows everything." My blood turned cold. He had read it and left. Hours passed. I waited by the window, the clock ticking endlessly. The house once again filled with that heavy, choking silence. Every shadow felt alive. Every sound outside made my heart lurch. Finally, headlights cut through the curtains. He stumbled inside, drunk or pretending to be. His tie was loose, his eyes red, and his anger barely contained. "You went to her," he spat. "You humiliated me." I stood very still. "Did I?" I said softly. "Or did I just introduce myself to the woman who's been living my life behind my back?" He slammed his hand on the counter. "You ruined everything, Julia." I laughed quietly. "No, Daniel. You ruined everything. I just added the finishing touch." He stepped closer, his face twisted in fury. "You think you're clever? You think this is a game?" "Everything's a game," I whispered. "You just lost yours." He grabbed my wrist too tight. For a second, the air between us burned. But then something strange happened. He froze. His grip loosened. His expression changed from anger to something else, fear. Because I wasn't flinching. I was smiling. And in my other hand, I held his phone. "I know about the money, Daniel." He blinked. "What money?" "Oh, come now," I said, tilting my head. "The transfers. The offshore account. The little payments you made to keep your secret girlfriend happy. Or maybe to keep someone else quiet." His face drained of color. For the first time, he looked truly terrified. "Where did you?" I cut him off. "You think I didn't notice? I may bake cakes for a living, Daniel, but I'm not stupid. You hid $50,000 last year. And you didn't just hide it from me, you hid it from your company." He stumbled back. "Julia, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly." I placed the phone down, the screen glowing with bank records I had downloaded from his email weeks ago. "I thought you were just cheating on me. But it turns out you were cheating on your boss too." His breathing grew ragged. You can't tell anyone. If they find out, they'll arrest you." I finished softly. "Yes, I know." He looked at me in horror. "What do you want from me?" For a moment, I just looked at him. This man I'd loved, trusted, and built my life around. Then I said, almost gently, "I want you to feel what I felt, helpless, small, and terrified." He tried to plead, to explain, to twist the story, but I'd already made up my mind. The next morning, I printed everything, the emails, the bank statements, the receipts, and sealed them neatly in an envelope addressed to his company's legal department. But I didn't send it. Not yet. I left it on the kitchen counter, right where he could see it. A warning, a reminder, a sword hanging above his head. When he saw it, his hand shook so badly he could barely hold it. "Julia, please don't do this." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I already did worse. Remember the car?" His face went white. I turned away, picked up my coat, and walked toward the door. He followed, desperate. "Where are you going?" I didn't answer. I just looked back once and said, "To get the rest of your secrets." The rain returned that night, soft, persistent, like a whisper that wouldn't stop. It always rained before the truth came out. Daniel slept in the guest room now. He said he needed space. I said nothing. Space was exactly what I needed too. The space to plan, to think, to finish what I had started. The envelope still sat on the kitchen counter, unopened. A silent threat. A promise waiting to be fulfilled. But I wasn't done yet. The next morning, I went into the attic. It had always been his territory. Boxes, old files, dust, and secrets. The air smelled of time and neglect. Cobwebs hung like curtains. The wooden floor creaked under my steps. I started going through the boxes one by one. Old tax papers, receipts, useless junk, until I found a small metal lockbox. No key, just Daniel's handwriting on a faded label. Personal. I stared at it for a long moment, my pulse quickening. Then I went downstairs, fetched a screwdriver, and forced it open. Inside were papers, dozens of them. Bank records, old letters, and at the bottom, a yellow envelope. My name was written on it. I froze. For a moment, I thought it was some old love letter, a forgotten relic from when we still believed in forever. But when I opened it, the words weren't romantic. They were confessions. Julia, if you're reading this, it means things have gone wrong. I never wanted you to find out this way. You deserve the truth, even if it destroys everything. Years ago, when I worked on the Mendez account, I did something stupid. I took money. Not much at first. Just small amounts I thought I could put back later. But then I couldn't stop. Someone found out. She started blackmailing me. Her name was Emily Mendez. Yes, that Emily. It wasn't love, Julia. It was survival. She threatened to go to the authorities. I tried to make it right. I swear I did. But now she wants more, and I don't know what to do. If anything happens to me, please remember that I loved you, even if I failed you. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Emily Mendez. Not just his mistress. His blackmailer. Suddenly the affair, the money, the secrecy, it all made sense. But what didn't make sense was why he never told me. Unless he couldn't. That afternoon, I decided to pay Emily another visit. But when I got to her cafe, it was closed. A handwritten sign on the door read, "Closed until further notice." Strange. Yesterday she'd been fine. A woman sweeping the sidewalk next door looked up. "Looking for Emily?" she asked. "Yes. Is she all right?" The woman shrugged. "Police came this morning. Something happened at her apartment." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" The woman hesitated. "They said there was blood." That night, Daniel didn't come home again. His phone went straight to voicemail. I tried to tell myself he was hiding, scared, maybe even running. But a darker thought crept in. One I didn't want to believe. Was it possible that he'd silenced her? I sat by the fireplace, staring into the flames, replaying every look, every lie, every smile. Had I really known this man at all? My mind drifted back to something small, something I had ignored. The morning after the glue incident, when I was cleaning his car, I'd seen faint red smudges on the back seat. I'd assumed it was rust. But now, I wasn't so sure. I ran to the garage. The car was there, spotless. Too spotless. The smell of cleaning chemicals hit me instantly. No man cleans like that. Not unless he's hiding something. I stepped closer. And there, just barely visible under the mat, was a tiny dark stain. Blood. I staggered back, my hand over my mouth. The world seemed to tilt. Was I responsible for this? Had my revenge pushed him over the edge? I wanted to scream, but the sound caught in my throat. Instead, I whispered to the darkness, "What did you do, Daniel?" Hours later, he came home. Quietly, his clothes damp from rain. He froze when he saw me sitting there waiting. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, I said, "Where were you?" He sighed, exhausted. "Out." "Out where? Does it matter?" I stood up slowly. "Yes," I said, my voice low. "It does when someone you know is missing." His face tightened. "Oh, Emily." For a second, just a second, I saw it. That flicker in his eyes. Guilt. Panic. Fear. Then he masked it with a shaky laugh. "Missing? Don't be ridiculous." "She's gone, Daniel. Her cafe is closed. The police were there." He turned away. "You don't know what you're talking about." I took a step closer. "Then tell me, Daniel. Tell me why your car smells like bleach." He froze. I kept going. "Tell me why there was blood on the floor mat. Tell me why you lied. Tell me the truth before the police do." He turned then, his face pale, his voice trembling. "I didn't mean to." He stopped himself. That was all I needed to hear. I walked to the counter, picked up my phone, and dialed 911. He lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "Julia, please. Don't. You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said, pulling free. "You killed her." Tears filled his eyes. "It was an accident. She was threatening me again. She said she'd ruin us both." I stared at him, disbelief turning into something darker, something colder. "Us both?" I repeated. "You mean you?" Because I was already ruined. He fell to his knees, sobbing, his hands clutching my dress like a desperate child. "I didn't mean for it to happen. Please. Please don't turn me in." I looked down at him, the man who had lied, cheated, stolen, and now killed. And I remembered his words from years ago. "If I ever hurt you, you have my permission to destroy me." I whispered them back to him. And then, quietly, I finished the call. Minutes later, the sirens grew louder again. Just like that first night. Only this time, they weren't for revenge. They were for justice. The red and blue lights flickered through the rain, painting our living room in broken colors. Daniel sat silently as the officers took him away, his eyes hollow, his mouth trembling. He didn't look at me. He didn't need to, because in that silence, that heavy, suffocating silence, he already knew what I had done. I stood at the window as they drove off, the sound of the rain mingling with the echo of his voice. And for the first time in years, I felt truly free. They took Daniel away that night, handcuffed, silent. Rainwater dripped from his hair as the police lights flashed red and blue across his face. He didn't resist. He didn't even look back. When the door closed behind them, the house went quiet again. Too quiet. I sat on the floor for hours, staring at the empty space where he had been kneeling. My phone kept buzzing. Police questions, neighbors gossiping, reporters sniffing. I turned it all off. But the silence wasn't peace. It was the sound of something breaking inside me. 2 days later, I was called to the station. They needed my statement. A young detective named Harris met me in the interview room. He had kind eyes, the kind that make you believe lies can be forgiven. But I knew better. He turned on the recorder and began calmly. "Mrs. Carter, you said your husband confessed?" "Yes." "He told you he killed Emily Mendez?" "Yes." "He said it was an accident." Harris nodded slowly. Then he leaned back. "And you're sure that's what he said?" Something in his tone made me uneasy. "Yes." "Why?" He opened a thin file on the table. Inside were photographs. A broken cup. A blood-stained rug. A smashed phone. And a single fingerprint, marked with red ink. "Because, Mrs. Carter," he said softly, "the blood we found at Emily's apartment doesn't match Daniel's." My heart skipped. "What?" "It's not his. It's yours." For a moment, I couldn't speak. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was impossible. There must be a mistake. I've never even been there. Harris didn't argue. He just watched me carefully, his eyes sharp now. "Do you remember the night before you called us?" "Around midnight." I frowned. "I was home." "Alone?" "Yes." He slid a photo across the table, a security camera still. It showed a woman, wearing a raincoat, walking into Emily's building at 11:57 p.m. The face was blurry, but the shape, the posture, it looked like me. My throat went dry. This isn't possible. Maybe not, Harris said quietly. But we found your glove at the scene. The one missing from the pair you wore when you reported Daniel's arrest. I stared at him. No, that's not. He closed the file. Mrs. Carter, is it possible you confronted Emily yourself? Maybe before your husband did. The room felt smaller. The walls closer. My pulse throbbed in my ears. I don't remember, I whispered. That night I didn't sleep. I replayed everything in my mind. Every sound, every moment from that night. The rain, the envelope, the attic. But there was a blank space between midnight and dawn. A gap in my memory, like a torn page in a diary. Had I gone there? No, I couldn't have. And yet, my hands still trembled when I thought of the smell of bleach in the car, the dark stain under the mat, the glove I'd never found. Maybe I hadn't been cleaning his mess. Maybe I'd been cleaning mine. The next morning, I drove to the lake house, the place Daniel and I used to go when we needed to think. It was abandoned now, silent except for the crows and the rain. I unlocked the door with shaking hands. Inside, everything was frozen in time. Dusty furniture, empty wine glasses, and a photograph of us smiling on the wall. A perfect lie captured forever. I went to the bathroom sink and stared at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked older, hollow, frightened. And behind that face, something else lurked. Something I didn't recognize. Did I do it? I whispered. The woman in the mirror didn't answer. She just stared back with empty eyes. Then, as if fate were mocking me, my phone buzzed. A new voicemail. The number was Emily's. My blood ran cold. I pressed play. Julia, it's Emily. I know what you think, that I destroyed your marriage. But you don't understand. Daniel was lying to both of us. He stole from my father's company. I tried to stop him. Please meet me tonight. We can fix this before it's too late. Don't bring Daniel. The timestamp was 11:04 p.m. The night before the police found her dead. And I had gone out that night. I remembered now. Flashes of headlights, the sound of rain, my fingers gripping the steering wheel. Her voice echoing in my head. Then nothing. Just darkness. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a hollow thud, echoing through the empty house. I sank to my knees, trembling. Had I gone there to confront her? Had anger, years of betrayal, pain, humiliation, taken over? Had I killed her and simply forgotten? I didn't know. But one thing I did know. I wasn't innocent anymore. Because even if I hadn't killed her, I had wanted to. Outside, thunder rumbled again, shaking the windows. I stood up slowly and walked to the door. In the distance, I could already see the flashing lights. Police cars approaching, tires grinding on the gravel. They'd followed me here. Maybe Daniel had told them the truth. Or maybe he was protecting me, even now. Either way, it didn't matter. Justice had already been served, one way or another. As I raised my hands and stepped into the rain, I felt the cold water wash over me like confession, the kind that burns before it heals. And in that moment, I finally understood. There's no such thing as revenge, only consequences. They put me in a holding cell that smelled of iron and disinfectant, the kind of place where time doesn't move, it just lingers, heavy and suffocating. The walls were gray, cracked, and damp, as if they had absorbed every confession ever whispered here. The officer who brought me in said softly, "Mrs. Carter, you'll stay here until the DA decides what to do." I nodded. What was there to say? My hands still smelled faintly of bleach. No amount of scrubbing could wash away that scent, or the thought that maybe, just maybe, it was my crime I'd been trying to clean. Hours passed. I lost track of time. I don't remember sleeping. Only flashes, the sound of rain against the tiny window, a guard's footsteps, the metallic rattle of keys. And then, sometime near dawn, a guard appeared at the bars. He looked uneasy. "Mrs. Carter," he said, "you have a visitor." They led me down a dim hallway into a small room with a glass partition. My heart started to race. I thought it might be Daniel. Maybe he wanted to tell me the truth. But when I sat down, my knees almost gave out, because the woman sitting across from me was Emily, alive. Her hair was shorter now, dyed dark. Her face thinner, paler, but those eyes, those unmistakable blue eyes, wide and watchful. I froze. She leaned closer to the glass, her lips trembling. "Julia," she whispered, "I'm sorry." For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. My voice cracked. You're dead." She shook her head, tears glistening. They wanted me dead. I pressed my palm against the cold glass. "Ooh," I breathed. She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder like someone being watched. Then she whispered, "Daniel." My chest tightened. "No, he's in jail. He confessed. He confessed because he thought you did it," she said, her voice trembling. "He was protecting you, Julia. But he's not innocent. Neither am I." I stared at her, unable to breathe. She continued, words spilling out like broken glass. "Daniel found out I was investigating his company. He'd been laundering money through a fake account, in your name, Julia. When I threatened to expose him, he panicked. We argued. He pushed me. I hit my head. He thought I was dead." She paused, her hands shaking. "So he dumped my car at the river, wiped the blood, and left me there. But I woke up. Barely. Someone found me before the tide came in." She looked up, her eyes wet. "I ran. Changed my name. But when I saw the news that you were arrested, I couldn't stay silent anymore." The room spun. Everything I thought I knew twisted into something darker, colder. My husband, the man I'd spent 40 years loving, defending, grieving, had lied about everything. Even his guilt was a lie. "He wanted you to take the blame," Emily said softly. "He told the police he killed me to keep you from talking. He thought if you went down for something else, you'd never find out what he'd done." Tears burned down my face. I didn't know whether to scream or laugh. So all this time, he wasn't saving me. He was burying me. Emily nodded. Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I just wanted the truth out." But before I could ask another word, the door slammed open. 2 officers rushed in. One grabbed Emily by the arm. "Ma'am, you're not supposed to be here." She struggled. "Wait. Tell her. Tell her to look under the..." The rest was drowned in chaos. They pulled her out of the room as I screamed. "Under what?" "Emily. Under what?" But she was gone. That night, I lay on the narrow cot, staring at the ceiling. Her last words kept echoing in my head. "Look under the..." Under what? Under where? And then suddenly, it hit me. The lake house. The floorboard near the fireplace. Years ago, Daniel had once joked, "If I ever go broke, I'll bury my fortune right here." What if that wasn't a joke? The next morning, I demanded to see Detective Harris. He was reluctant, said it was impossible that Emily was alive. But when I described her in detail, when I told him what she said about the accounts in my name, his expression changed. "Are you willing to take us to this lake house?" he asked. "Yes," I whispered. "Tonight." It was raining again when we arrived. Always raining. The sky wept like it knew every secret this house had swallowed. Inside, the air was heavy with mold and memory. I led Harris to the fireplace. The same spot I had stood by when I first questioned my own sanity. "This one," I said. "This board." He knelt down, pried it loose. And there it was. A small steel box. Rusty, dented, but locked. Harris picked it up and set it on the table. Then with a steady hand he broke the lock open. Inside were papers, bank documents, fake accounts, all under my name. And at the bottom, a USB drive. He plugged it into his laptop. The screen flickered. Dozens of scanned documents appeared. Wire transfers, company records, and a confession video. The thumbnail froze my heart. It was Daniel. In the video, he looked disheveled, desperate. His eyes bloodshot, his voice trembling. If you're watching this, Julia, then you found what I never wanted you to see. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Emily, she was just supposed to disappear. But then you started digging. You were always too smart, Julia. Always too loyal. I had to make you stop somehow. He looked down, breathing heavily. I loved you. But love doesn't erase what I've done. If they ever find this, tell them I'm sorry. For everything. The screen went black. Harris closed the laptop slowly. That's enough, he said quietly. That's more than enough. Outside, dawn was breaking gray and soft. The rain had stopped. I stood there, shaking, as the realization sank in. For months, I had blamed myself, hated myself. But in the end, it wasn't me. It was him. Always him. The man I loved. The man I trusted. The man who destroyed everything, including himself. When they took Daniel's confession to the prosecutors, the case fell apart in days. Emily was placed under protection. The charges against me were dropped. But I didn't celebrate. How could I? The truth hadn't set me free. It had just changed the shape of my cage. Sometimes late at night, I still hear his voice. In dreams. Whispering through the walls. You were always too loyal, Julia. And sometimes I wonder if loyalty is just another word for blindness. It had been 3 months since the trial ended. 3 months since Daniel's confession surfaced. Since his crimes finally came crawling into the light like the rats they were. He died in prison, a heart attack, they said. But part of me knew. Guilt had killed him long before the walls did. The papers called me the widow of secrets. Strangers on the street whispered when I passed. The bakery I once owned was gone, sold to pay for lawyers. But none of it mattered. Because peace, even in ruins, felt better than living in a lie. Or so I thought. One evening, just as the sky was folding into dusk, I heard a knock at the door. A gentle, deliberate knock. Not the kind that startles, but the kind that demands to be heard. When I opened the door, a delivery man stood there with a small package. No return address. Just my name, written in Daniel's unmistakable handwriting. My hands went cold. I signed for it, closed the door, and stood there for a long time, staring at the box like it was a ghost. When I finally opened it, I found 2 things inside. A sealed envelope and a small brass key. The envelope was marked, in his familiar bold strokes. For Julia. Only when you're ready. But ready for what? I sat at the kitchen table, the same spot where this nightmare had begun, and opened the letter. The paper smelled faintly of his cologne. The same scent that once made me feel safe, now sharp enough to sting my eyes. My dearest Julia, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And you deserve the truth. Not the version I fed the police, not the one Emily told you, but the real one. Emily was never my lover. She was my daughter. Not by blood, but by choice. She came to me when she was 16, scared, broken, running from a father who hurt her. I took her in, paid for her college, built her a new life. You knew her once, years ago. Remember that summer intern at my office who brought you lilies every Friday? That was her. I hid her identity because she begged me to. She didn't want the world, or you to know. But I should have told you. I should have trusted you. When she found out about my company's dirty money, she panicked. threatened to expose me. She didn't understand I was trying to fix it. We fought. She fell. I thought she was dead. I buried the secret, not her body. And then when you started asking questions, I did what cowards do. Elite. I wanted to protect her. And God forgive me, I wanted to protect myself. The night she came back, she begged me to turn myself in. Said she'd disappear forever if I didn't. So I did. Because Julia, I loved her like a daughter, but I loved you more. And I couldn't watch you burn for my sins. That key, it opens the safety box in the old church downtown. Inside, you'll find what's left of everything. The money, the files, and her birth certificate. Her real name. She wasn't Emily Mendez. She was Emily Carter, our daughter. I know you'll hate me for this, but maybe someday you'll understand why I kept her secret. Daniel. The letter slipped from my hands. The room spun. Our daughter. The girl I'd envied. The girl I thought had stolen my husband. The one I'd accused, hated, cried over, and almost blamed myself for killing. She was mine. I couldn't breathe. Memories collided like storms. The summer intern with soft eyes and nervous laughter. The one who baked cookies for my birthday. The one who'd vanished after that summer. I had forgotten her name. Because he told me to. Don't get attached, he had said back then. She's just a temporary hire. A lie. Every word. Another brick in the wall he'd built between us. I sat in that kitchen till the candles melted into wax puddles. Till the wind outside began to whisper through the cracks of the old window. Then I did the only thing that made sense. I went to the church. It was midnight when I arrived. The old stone building stood silent, its stained glass windows glowing faintly under the streetlights. Inside, the smell of dust and forgotten prayers filled the air. I found the deposit room. Locker 47. The brass key slid in perfectly. When I opened the metal box, a small velvet pouch fell out, and a folded photograph. In the picture, Daniel stood between two women. Me on one side, and her, Emily, on the other. She was smiling. We both were. And written on the back, in Daniel's handwriting, were just 3 words. My 2 hearts. Tears streamed down my face. The truth was unbearable. He hadn't betrayed me with her. He had betrayed both of us. A man who couldn't tell the truth, even when it was love. A man who destroyed everything he tried to protect. I left the church and walked toward the bridge. The same bridge where they had found her abandoned car. The river below shimmered with city lights. For the first time in months, I felt calm. I looked up at the night sky and whispered, "Emily, I'm sorry." The wind shifted, soft and cool, brushing my cheek like a hand. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was just the wind. But it felt like forgiveness. It's been a year now. The bakery reopened, under a new name, 2 Hearts. Every morning, I bake the first batch myself. Cinnamon rolls, her favorite. Sometimes a young woman comes in, buys 2, smiles, and leaves a small white lily on the counter. She never says a word. And I never ask. Because some ghosts aren't meant to be exorcised. They're meant to be remembered.